Prior to its Prime Video streaming launch, Michael Grandage's film My Policeman, starring Harry Styles, Emma Corrin, and David Dawson, was released in theaters. The movie chronicles the love affair between Tom and Patrick in 1950 England, which is made difficult by harsh laws that targeted the LGBTQ+ population and Tom's marriage to Marion, a schoolteacher. The movie follows the trio as they get older over the course of 40 years. At the end of Ron Niswaner's adaptation of Bethan Roberts' novel My Policeman, Marion confesses to the consequences of her actions in the 1950, which cost Tom his career as a police officer and landed Patrick in jail. After spending so many years away, Tom is eventually forced to acknowledge Patrick when Marion makes the decision to leave him. There is plenty to consider within the story, even though the movie wraps up any unfinished plotlines. Here is a detailed explanation of My Policeman's ending, including the reason Tom resisted speaking to Patrick for such a long time. Marion believed that Tom would ultimately choose to be with her completely and without interruptions if Patrick was gone. She yearned for a kind of love that he was unable to provide for her. Marion adored Tom and thought that things may eventually improve for them. She might have been a little afraid to go because she had been accustomed to Tom's lack of affection and anger for her. When Marion decides to leave at the end of My Policeman, it's crucial because Patrick has just returned to their life, and she has just come to the realization that Tom was always attached to Patrick, whether he was there or not. To love her the way Tom loved Patrick would never be possible. No longer dejected, Marion withdrew from their complex bond in order to let Tom and Patrick free as well. It was now time to move on, heal from everything, and let go of the past. A gay couple Tom encounters in the supermarket inspires him. Tom, overcome with emotion, walks to the car and sobs. He cried when he saw the couple because this was never his reality before. He is reminded of all the things he was unable to do while dating Patrick when he sees the couple engage in such open displays of affection without worrying about being detained and imprisoned. Tom's emotional response suggests that he is both sad and happy. He is sad that he was unable to live his life as a gay man so openly and happy that society has progressed enough for the next generation to not be as constrained by the oppressive laws that hampered him and Patrick. Tom largely avoided Patrick for the duration of Patrick's stay at his and Marion's house. Tom kept away because Patrick served as a connection to all he lost and left behind after Patrick was sent to jail, as well as a reminder of the past that he had never truly moved past. Tom was less approachable and eager to show vulnerability than Patrick. Instead of confronting his sentiments, he would prefer to keep them hidden. Tom found it impossible to deal with the feelings that Patrick's reappearance brought to the surface because he had never dealt with them before. Patrick's presence may have also served as a reminder of his shame over lying to Marion. Tom, though, ultimately visits Patrick because he is liberated to do so. Nothing or anyone is holding him back any longer, and after seeing Marion depart, Tom was prepared to face all he had suppressed deep inside. He might be able to make peace with his past and perhaps create a new future with Patrick by his side. Patrick felt as though he had little left to live for following his stroke. He shared a home with Marion and Tom, but it bothered him that Tom would not interact with him. In such a situation, staying with Marion and Tom was emotionally and physically taxing. On top of that, Patrick was unable to even smoke, so he felt as though he had reached his lowest point and was stuck. Patrick might have eaten more if he weren't residing with Marion and Tom, but because of the hurt from the past and his failure to make amends with Tom, he was left without anything significant to cling to. It's difficult to say, but there's a possibility. After a stroke, recovery differs from person to person. It may take many months and perhaps years before some patients achieve full recoveries or improve over time. Patrick's condition could indeed improve, but it worsens throughout the movie. He's not eating, and he doesn't appear to have the desire to live any longer. Patrick and Marion are still at odds, as seen by Marion's conversations with Tom during My Policeman says there's a chance Patrick might recover if he speaks to Patrick, and the former couple starts to rebuild their connection and mend old scars. Maybe he just needs a cause to try, and Tom finally coming to visit him is more of a reason than anything else. My Policeman looks into each character's past and present situations without necessarily painting any of them in a negative light. Their behavior in Marion's case, her point of view is a continuation of the demeaning discourse and restrictions that surrounded the LGBTQ+ community in the 1950s. Their actions and storylines aren't meant to serve as a moral compass, but rather as an examination of how hate and trying to fit someone into a mold that society has deemed acceptable can have a negative impact on everyone involved, causing them to endure unspeakable pain and harm that affects their entire life. While My Policeman does not justify such behaviors, it does highlight the motivations and pleasures of the past. The movie also demonstrates how cruel laws and regulations are a reflection of social anxieties and how harmful they may be to the populations they are intended to protect.